Here we go. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, folks, and welcome to another episode of In My Element with Neela. And I'm your co-host, Turk Randall Ray. And I'm going to wait for a few more people to get on before I start going into our subject. So everybody just come on and go to YouTube and subscribe and like and come on in. Share. This one is going to be a good one. This one's going to be a nice conversation on some Afro-American history. Morning, Lee. Good to have you on this morning. I'm going to be talking about a couple of subjects, one in Florida and one in Georgia, about the Ocoee massacre. And then I'm going to talk about Lake Lanier here in Georgia. It's about 30 miles outside of downtown Atlanta. But it's the largest lake in Georgia, and it touches 6 different counties. And it was once a black city here in Georgia, and we'll be talking about it. So, okay. Got my detox going. Yep. But this is going to be okay. Yeah, this morning, I don't know if anybody knows. Morning, Amma. Good to have you on. I don't know if any of you know about the massacre of Ocoee City in Florida. It's a small city that's right off of Lake Apopka in Florida. A very fertile land, very beautiful. You could grow anything there. It's like the perfect growing medium conditions for any type of plant because it stays moist. It's not quite like a jungle where it's too humid where you get a lot of mold, but it's damp and then it gets hot enough to dry everything out, which is good because it keeps plants from molding. And because if plants mold, then the leaves die. And if the leaves die, then the plant is gone because it has no way to absorb the sun. No photosynthesis, no plant life. And that's something else. After we get a few more people on, I want everybody to get a paper and pencil that's interested in gardening from your plate to the pot, from the pot back to your plate, because I'm going to talk about morning, JB, Roz. I'm gonna tomorrow. I'm gonna actually do a tutorial live on the show um, of how you set up from the plate to your garden and from the garden back to your plate. So I'll wait. Oh, I guess about another 20 minutes or so. So it's a few more people on, so everybody can write down the list of the things they'll need. Morning, Nicole. Nicola. Yep. So we'll do that, and it's not gonna acquire nothing you got to spend no money on. Um, all you need is some dirt out your yard, not much, because we're only going to do like maybe two or three, maybe two pots that we'll actually need for growing. But we're going to need um, a jar, a small jar, a saucer, or a small dish. But I'll show everybody exactly what to do tomorrow, because you already all of this stuff you should already have in your home. It's not going to be where you got to go out to Home Depot and get anything special. This is from your plate to the garden, from your garden back to your plate, and we'll do that tomorrow for Wisdom Wednesday. But today I want to talk about the Ocoee massacre. It's a massacre that's been hidden from history because the people that live there are still very racist. Even as of 2020, it's just embedded into the grain of the fiber of that city, like it is for the country. So it's just so much worse there. Um, Even latter into the years, you'd be surprised at how much detriment has been done to Black people in the 1900s. That you only think, a lot of people just think, oh, it's just back in slavery time. White people were doing that. What we know is still ongoing today. Um, all you got to do is look at the news, and the KKK is in full effect. Willie Lynch is in full effect because we do as much to ourselves as they do to us. So I don't know when we're gonna learn. Um, that killing each other is not the way, and for us to bitch, moan, and complain about how they killing us, and then turn around and do the same to ourselves is just asinine to me. It don't make no sense, none whatsoever. And they're killing each other over senseless stuff. It's even to the point where they're arguing on social media. They lip boxing. Ain't even no blows thrown. They fighting with their lips, and then come on and come out on the street. Oh, well, meet me at so and so, so and so, and then never fight. They just shoot. And when they shooting to kill, and who's ever in front of them bullets, they don't have no names. That's why you get so many people caught in the crossfire and all of that. Morning, Daybreak. Good to have you on this morning. I was just talking about the city of Ocoee in Florida, around Lake Apopka, which is like 20 minutes outside of Orlando, and a massacre that occurred there, and how racist that it still is today, and that how really ridiculous, that people just They see this stuff and then they act like, they don't know nothing. They you evil enough to do the act, but then you want to hide it. You're not proud of what you're doing, so you know it's wrong. So I don't know, um why they still racist as hell the way they are. Well, I understand because they want the white privilege, but you know already took all of the land that people had accumulated and worked so hard for pennies on the dollar, and purchase something, and then you burn them out and run them off the land, and then sell the land to your buddies because you the county seat and the mayor and the judge and the police and all of that. So, and it's still going on today. But let's talk about Lake. Ocoee City. Um, it was an election coming up, and black people in Ocoee had been there since they were slaves. And when they were freed, or it was a lot of them that came from other states because picking fruit paid more than picking cotton. You got to pick 100 pounds of cotton, in order to get 25 cents. That's a lot of cotton. That's a lot of work. So, they were making maybe $4, $5, a week. Because to pick 400 or 500 pounds of cotton, by hand is a lot of work. And that's what our ancestors did. And they saved that money and bought land of their own once, they accumulated, because this was after the Emancipation Proclamation with this massacre. So this was after the blacks were free. Most of your massacres that they had were after blacks were, supposed to be free. So it was two black men that were like the leaders that were over the black community, because they had a community. They had accumulated land, and when you had an orange orchard, the slaves that came there to work would get 50 cents a box. So you done went from, $4 or $5 a week, to $10 a week, $15 a week. Now they're making some headway. They're saving money. They're accumulating land. They're creating businesses. They're creating revenue. And, the whites didn't like it. And because we're not talking about land that's not worth anything. We're talking about land that was worth a lot of money back then, and it's worth a lot of money now because of the location and because of the things you can grow there. And the fruit and the citrus business is huge down there. Grapefruits, lemon, limes, oranges, all different kinds now, and it's still a hub for large orchards in Ocoee and in Plant City, and both of them are cities in Florida that are close to Orlando. It's like it's the perfect temperature, because the further south you go in Florida, the hotter it gets. But midway is kind of like a happy medium point. So you can grow any kind of plant there because it doesn't get too cold, but it doesn't get super hot. And it's not super moist. And so people that have gardens there do very well. And these blacks had really did well, and they were, free now, and had their properties and stores, and from everything, barber shops. They had doctors, schools. It was kind of like a Greenwood, Archer, and Pine, but their main source of income was from the citrus business. And so it was two men. One's name was July Perry, and the other one's name was Moses Norman. And these two men actually helped the people in this city organize to become politically involved, and they were Republicans back then, because the Democrats were the ones that was the KKK, and that was for they wanted slaves, and the mentality to go back to the way it was. They don't want slaves owning anything or being productive, and so they would try to stay in control. And the slaves, they didn't have no connects to sell to other blacks in other states. So they had to sell their stuff to the white people that had the large businesses. So, they undercut them on what the stuff was really worth, but it still allotted the blacks to be able to have a good life, to have, well, a decent life. It couldn't have been good if you being harassed and burnt, tortured and looked down on and spit upon and all of that still. But it was better than the conditions that they were living before they accumulated some type of wealth. And so for the James Cox and Warren Hardy presidential election, the blacks, Perry and Norman, had really got everybody organized, and they were going in to vote. And the Ku Klux Klan knew about them going around and petitioning the people to vote a certain way. And they didn't want Republican people voting because they wanted to be in power. So the Ku Klux Klan was, one's name was Mr. Cheney. Mr. Cheney was kind of like straddling the fence, because he was making money from the blacks, so he didn't really have a problem with them, because he was accumulating so much wealth off of them, and he was a judge, so he was trying to be fair with them, so that they would bring their product to him. And so he kind of stood up for him. But it was others that were in the Klan, and they was like, if you don't stop helping these niggas, then we're gonna burn your house down and kill you, your wife and kids. And so he told the blacks, hey, y'all on your own, and there's nothing I can do. So morning, Archbishop. Morning, Edith. Good to have you on this morning. I'm just talking about the story of the Ocoee massacre in Florida, around Lake Apopka and Plant City and Orlando area down there. And so on the night of the election, the Klan had already told everybody, if the niggas come out to vote, it's gonna be some trouble. So Perry and Norman, like, we ain't scared, we going to vote. So they was like, y'all come on, let's go vote. Everybody's gonna vote. And so the blacks went to go vote. And so a riot ensued behind them going to vote, because they were refused admittance into the building or the facility where you could vote. And so the Republicans were really pissed, but they're not gonna they couldn't go against the Klan, because the Klan, they would attack the whites that were using the blacks, for their benefit. So they told them, we don't want no niggas in here, in this area anyway. We want all this land that they got. And so when the fight ensued, the night of the election, 2 white men got killed. And so this sent everybody into a fit of rage. Even though it was in self-defense, back then, it didn't matter. So Perry and Norman were both lynched, hanged, and buried in paupers' graves. And now we're talking about 2 men that pulled themselves up by the bootstraps, had large farms and orchards, because they were dealing with oranges and grapefruits and stuff. And so when they were killed and murdered that night, the following day, the Klan took up arms on everyone that was black in Ocoee. So the women and children fled, and most of the men and the male children were hunted down and killed, and all their land and their crops were burned, their houses were burned, and they took over that land and resold it. And Ocoee has been known to be racist all the way up until now, and it's still racist. But now they have blacks that have moved in there in the 60s, that houses were burnt and they ran them out of there, and they had killed people back in the 60s. And all the way up and it was like 1994, a black family that lived outside of there was they were looking for a new house, and they wanted more land. And so the husband was like, wow, look at how cheap these houses are in Ocoee. And so the wife was like, yeah, but look where it is. Don't no blacks stay in Ocoee. And we talking about in the 80s and 90s, this was going on. And so, yes, Busy Mama, it's Ocoee, Florida. It's by Apaca Lake, not far from Orlando. And these Klan folk created the group on or around Christmas, a bunch of Christians, huh? Well, that's what they say, when the Puritans and the Christians, anywhere they went where it was people of color, they took the Bible and the gun. Because if they could take their religion and impose it upon you to make you drop your spirituality or your beliefs, then Jesus was white deity. So for them now, it would put them on a higher level, because they're the same color as God, or as your God. So when you see them, you see deity. And so that's the psyche that they would have behind this, using the Bible for their own benefit. Yep, it's in the Orlando, Sanford area. It sure is. And you see Sanford is where what's the young boy? It's a damn shame. It's just early in the morning and I can't think yet. No coffee. Uh, uh, I think of it later and come back to it. But it was a young man. He was murdered down in Sanford, Florida, from the stand your ground law. And this was in 2016, 2014. Yeah, Trayvon Martin. Thank you, Busy Mama. Appreciate it. Ain't no way I should have forget that young man's name. But it's all in that area. And in 1994, these people were trying to move into this house for it was worth more money, but they would have to spend less to get it. And when they moved in there, the whites gave them hell. Their kids couldn't go to the white school. And this is in the 80s and 90s. I ain't talking about 1800s. I'm talking about 10, 20 years ago, that this was still going on, and nothing's being said outside of that little town, that little clique. Everything is all hidden and secret. That's the stuff that I don't like, because that lets me know that that it's not right what you're doing. So you know what you're doing, even though I don't see the racism, and it's a lie from the pit of hell because they know what they're doing. Morning, Karen. But let me get back to the story. Well, the children and the grandchildren of Perry and Norman are trying to get this story out, get the information out and let people know what's going on there and how racist they are still today. And so when the slave, not the slave owners, because people were free. When the people in the town had did all of these murders and everything, and then they just redispersed the land to white people, because that's all they really wanted all of the time was their land, because it was prime land. The way they did that is the way they were doing a lot of bootstrap black cities. That's what I call them, because they were cities of people that started from nothing, from slavery, and worked their behind off, saved their money, bought land, and then to have it either grandfathered away from them or taken from them and resold. So it's this, and it's a trip, because it's parallel to what they did with the inflated prices on these houses back in the early 2006, 2005, when the housing market crashed. It was basically the same thing, but the way they stole all of the property back was kind of like the same way they did it. They just didn't use a gunpoint. They just used the pen, because they gave people houses that they knew they weren't going to be able to afford. And then they say, oh, well, you can get this house and your payment will be this. And then in another 10 years, then you just have to make the balloon payments. And those balloon payments, those were predatory loans that they used to steal the people's houses right back from them. But when you are greedy as hell, and the houses are made for banks, that's because banks are the only ones that really benefit from all of these houses. Landscape company, companies that are selling houses, and real estate companies and stuff like that, they make a lot of money. But guess who's making the bulk of that money? Because the real estate office is just getting a cut. The banks are the ones that do the predatory loans and do loans, that they know people won't be able to afford, or, they don't want to give you a decent rate on your loan and stuff like that. Archbishop say option arm loans. Exactly. Greedy as hell, Busy Mama said. And they're still doing it now. Busy Mama say, you better come with the paying more than just a monthly mortgage payment. Otherwise, they will swipper and no swiping. In other words, they gonna take your stuff. And our bishop say, my nephew is a realtor and tried to get me to get that loan. And he thought I was a damn fool. It seems like you was pretty smart. Be wise, learn. It ain't in your interest, it's their interest. Remember, that's what Busy Mama said about loans with interest, extravagant interest rates. But anyway, after they took the people's property and redispersed it amongst themselves, they kept blacks out of this city all the way until 1964, 65. And when the city moved in, they ran them right back out of there. And so now you have an area of Ocoee that the blacks, they allowed, to move in, but they have to go and buy their food in another city. They don't. I mean, I'm talking about the Walmart. I ain't talking about back in the day in the 60s and 70s. I'm talking about now. They, that's how pressured they are even living there. And all of this stuff is kept like it's a secret. The way they treating people, and you go in the store and they staring at you and following you, and and not one person, everybody, all of them. And they have a mayor that's there now, and he's actually married to one of the ancestors of the clan that originally was one of the main members who killed the people that were black that had started to get into politics. And that clan that started them, that attacked them, their ancestors are the ones that are the proprietors of that city now. So this is one of the things that black people have a problem with. And they always talking about, oh, why you just can't forgive and forget? Because you're still benefiting from the things that you did 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 300 years ago, 400 years ago, and your family are still benefiting. It's paying benefits like a residual income check. It don't make it really doesn't make any sense, none whatsoever. Busy Mama said, be wise, learn. It ain't in your interest, it's their interest, remember. And be sure to hit that like coming in and share if you can. Appreciate that, Busy Mama. And it's a reoccurring thing. So I know it was a plan that they had to take that land back from the people. And it wasn't a plan that was just pertaining to that one city, because they've done that all over the country. They did it at Greenwood, Archer, and Pine in Oklahoma. And they did it here in Georgia. The largest lake in Georgia is Lake Lanier. And Lake Lanier is a flooded out black city. And this didn't happen in 1800s slavery time. This happened in 1954 that they took the black people's land. The Army Corps engineers came in there, they set it up, and they flooded it. And this is the largest lake in Georgia. And they were supposed to be moving bodies and stuff. It was 20 cemeteries there. And those cemeteries, only half of the bodies were taken out, and headstones. So the rest of them are buried up under that lake. So you got all of this death and all of this hatred buried up under the water because they took the houses and the land from the people. And this is the government in 1954. I'm not talking about in the 1800s and slavery time. This is 1954. That's 6 years before I was born. So that's like 70 years ago. And it is really concerning that they were doing this type of stuff in the 50s, and it was going unnoticed. People don't know. And I was doing a little research. There's like 30 more different lakes in the United States that weren't there, that the Army Corps of Engineers took black land and flooded it. What point would that serve? You didn't sell the land. You know, you put the people off of it, and then you didn't sell it. You just flooded it out. So in other words, it was just to destroy the growth of blacks or African Americans or the Native Americans, because they were black too, and half of them were killed off as well, and maybe more than half. But yeah, they made it uninhabitable. That's exactly what they did. Thanks, Busy Mom. When they bring those places up, and you look at what's going on in them, Lake Lanier has had 600 people die in it since 1954. That's high as hell for a lake. And they say it's haunted. They say people swim in the lake and stuff and go out there and they swimming around, and all them old dead bodies been in there, and coffins down there open, and houses and barns and all of that stuff is just, it wasn't torn down or burnt down. They just flooded it. So all of those structures are still there. And when the wind makes the water move and creates a current in the lake, then it creates suction in all of those houses and those structures down there because the current is going through it. And people get pulled down in there, and it's so dark that they can't see how to get out. And if you get in a house and now you don't have no air tank, you trying to feel your way to get out of somewhere, and you can't see 2 feet in front of you, and you can't see no sunlight or the come penetrating the water, then they drown. 600 people. That's a lot of people. And people still go out there now boating and fishing. You know, it's crazy. And people go out there and they eating that fish and, you know, hey, you know, boating and water skiing, having a good old time. You know, got their houses built all around it. And you know, oh, I've got a lakefront property on Lake Lanier. Yeah, you got your house built around a lake. That's a cemetery. And you know, it is, I don't understand how, if you are human, that you could be that evil to where you do stuff like that, where you know, flood out a whole city and kill people and all kind of stuff, and then keep everything a secret. And that's a government secret. That ain't no the Ku Klux Klan members that live up in the hills some hillbillies. No, we're talking about uh, American soldiers, Army Corps engineer, 1954, black and white. Now they probably didn't have black soldiers working on those projects, but it really don't make no sense that that they uh, went around this country, to do that type of stuff. But um, that's the country that we live in, and this information needs to get out because even in the Ocoee massacre, it was an undisclosed number of black people killed. Undisclosed mean they killed so many they didn't even count them. They just made mass graves and put them in there. Or, I wouldn't doubt if a lot of them just got thrown in the swamp, because there's a lot of swampland in Florida. And the gators and crayfish and the crabs and the shrimp and all of that stuff that's in those creeks and lakes and rivers, because a lot of them are brackish water. And brackish water is a mixture of salt and fresh. And so saltwater animals or saltwater fish and crustaceans and stuff can come inland in that brackish water. And so and sharks as well can swim in brackish water. They can live in it for up to like 6 months from what I understand. So if you're swimming in brackish water, you swimming with sharks and then gators and snakes and everything else, because it's not salty enough to where freshwater fish can't survive in it. So now you have the two mixing together. So now you got saltwater fish and freshwater fish in the same body of water. And so I know they tossed a bunch of them bodies right off in the water and just fed the gators because, who they didn't want to bury no bodies. That's work. And it's a guy that's running for political office that's black in Ocoee. For 2020, he ran, and he didn't make it. But the black population there, is starting to grow, and some of the people that are originally there, they've been owning that land since the time of that massacre. Well, not them, but their ancestors, their grandparents, great grandparents. And so they don't feel like they should be held accountable for what their grandparents and great grandparents did, but they benefited from it. And so then the blacks, they are not asking for no money. They ain't asking for no reparations. They just ask that they would relinquish the story to, let everybody know what happened here. And so that's what was going on there. And getting back to these lakes, I'm gonna look that up. I'm getting ready to find that right now. How many black cities in the United States have been flooded out by the Army Corps engineers?
Oh, good morning, y'all.
Tea is coming on.
Hey. So did you need the link in there?
Hey, Sister Marvette. Roosevelt, what's up, nephew? Kimberly Mixon Dixon, one busy mama said, dang, Siri might not answer that. And she's not. I sure asked. Yep, it's giving me floods, but it's not. It's
sometimes
not
Siri ain't
giving
gonna
me
answer
the
some of the
answer.
things you do. Some of the things you ask her, she be like confused or
Don't want. They don't have that information in her
it's
computer.
stored in her
Yeah,
database. Right. They don't. Um, it makes you wonder about certain information things. Why don't they have it stored?
story of Lake
Hmm.
Lanier.
Oh,
Yep.
someone else told us about that Lake Lanier. Remember that young man told us about that who was remember remember that guy? He was
No.
autistic.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Told
Um.
us right.
Yeah. The one he's in Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You won't find anything on there about Lake Lanier. I already tried.
Well, I found something
You
on
get a
it,
little something, something, but it
but
ain't a lot.
it's not giving you a whole lot of information.
Right.
Um. It says it was built over a cemetery in a city. Um. And it's a town under the lake, and it's haunted. But
Right.
they don't go into the history of um
Mm-mm.
of
They
of
don't.
the black. It was a black city and all of that.
Right. Well, everybody, I'm like I am live. They looking at me weird now because they see my lips moving, but they can't hear me. Um, right. So I am getting ready to go because we are in training, and this girl really is. She's new, and I'm monitoring her right now. So she's doing really good. So let me see something. These are filled out by closing cashier. All right. She's doing really good. Um, she's doing an orientation. So, um, I I'll be back with you guys a little later if I can. I'm gonna put the link in the chat so people, in case they want to come on and sing, lift every voice and sing. I don't know why you
Okay.
guys want to let that money go. I got the money. I just it's in the cash app waiting on somebody.
Yep.
Nicola's husband said he might want to come back and do it again. Give us more bars. He's okay to do that. A lot of
All
you,
right. He gonna mess around and get the money.
he show in. Y'all don't let Nicola all that retired military money, all that Airbnb money. They gonna take more money. If you know they say the people with the most money get more money. Yeah, she's
So
a
you
good.
gotta have money to make money.
Yeah, that's it. You sure do. So I'm off, y'all. Love, peace, soul, and hair grease, everybody. I love y'all. I'm glad y'all on. Take pride in everything you do. And Turk, you got this.
All right. Yep. And Busy Mama, you said thriving communities like Castleberry. I never heard of Castleberry. But I know that there's at least 30 different um, black cities that were flooded by the Army Corps of Engineers. I'm gonna see if I can find that. I should be able to find that somewhere. I'm gonna go to YouTube. I ain't asking Siri. Information on 30 black cities that were flooded by the Army Corps Engineers. The Flooding of Vanport, full documentary. This is in Mississippi. So it's not giving me all of them together, but they got one here in Oregon. They got one in Mississippi, the flooding of Vanport, full documentary. The Tale of Two Rivers. I don't know if that's if they flooded that or if that's just another video. Army Corps of Engineers prevents findings from review of Howard. What?
Mitigation plan. WJC is live tonight. Kelsey Kushner with what they had to say there. Kelsey. Hey, Nicole. Well, yeah, the U.S. Army Corps of Engineering, they reviewed that plan. They actually said tonight they think that mitigation plan might actually work in stopping that flooding to downtown Ellicott City.
We've lost 5 bridges and 1 house.
With
5 bridges and 1 house. But they're not talking about how they did the black cities. They keeping this information hush hush. Wow. Now I'm talking about floods. Why am I on there already? See, this computer is pretty slick. Now y'all know this is crazy. I put in something about flooding on YouTube and they got me. I'm still live, but they got me for information on YouTube on talking about flooding. Wow, that's deep. That kind of blew me away right there. Apparently, there are divers showing footage of sunken houses and stuff. This is one busy mama saying considered dangerous because of the potential, the Chattahoochee River. Shaking my head. Yeah, a lot of blacks been drowned in the Chattahoochee here in Georgia. And they don't talk about it or write about it and like it never happened. Yep. That's what, out of sight, out of mind. Ain't nobody saying nothing. Yeah, they watching. That's for sure. If you think they're not watching when you're on your shows or whatever, or when you're on this putting any information out here, that what I just showed you is proof that they watch every word that come out of people's mouth. So they know when people are giving false information, they shouldn't be allowed to put it on because it causes too much mess. Like just like with the COVID, because Mr. President said it was the Kong flu. You ain't got nothing to worry about and all of that stuff. And look how that turned out. False information. That's crazy. This artificial intelligence is getting to be a real problem. And what's making it artificial is who's programming these computers. So it's actually like I can't find certain information in here. But it's the information is out there. You just have to know somebody from the areas or know historians, and the information is not getting out here like it should, because 30 cities that have been flooded by the Army Corps engineers, and this is from the 1890s until the 1960s, that they were destroying black cities. And that's the time that black people had from being free from slavery to get themselves together to make a better life for their families, and then have it snatched from you. That's like apartheid South Africa. Right here in America, same thing. Ain't no different. And nobody held accountable for any of it, for taking the people's land, for killing the people that were staying there, for killing their animals, for destroying their property, for taking their property. Nobody held accountable for it, not even the government. That's, you know, we really need some spiritual help on this planet. Either that, I know they listening, you know, but y'all just making it real hard for people. You don't give a damn about people, and it's not about. I don't even think it's about color. It's about color. It's about that green, because they don't give a damn if you're black or white, long as you got plenty of money. But you know, blacks are only allowed to go so high in this country, and then they'll tear you down, as Bill Cosby and a whole lot of others that have went down, been set up, and had their riches snatched from them because you ain't danced to the master's tune. Yep. Archbishop say, my co-worker predicts that in about 5 years, social media is going to be revamped or eliminated because it's too informative. Pretty much. I believe that. Yep. It's a super highway of information. The only thing about it, a lot of the information is BS. It ain't the truth. Artificial intelligence don't know the difference between right or wrong, good or evil, nothing. All it knows is information. And whatever information you put in it, that's the information that it's going to give. Here, Lee say the same thing in Georgia with Camp Lejeune military. The base was stolen land. And you know who they took it from. A military, they took the people's land and put a military base on it. Anywhere on that ocean or anywhere around water that blacks had it back in the day, they don't own it no more unless you done bought it and paid $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 for it. Especially in Florida. I met guys that I worked with in Florida whose grandparents had their land stolen from them. I mean, and they didn't ask them. When they went off to church, when they came back, their house was flattened. All of their stuff was burning, and the powers that be was standing out there telling them, y'all got to move somewhere else. This is no longer your land. They just gangstered the land, and nothing was done. Because if the Klan is the police and the judges, and the prosecuting attorney, who you gonna tell? The government ain't stepping in. I mean, this is a hell of a world, y'all. And here we are now trying to defend Ukraine from getting taken back by Russia. Why? We defend others for doing the same things that we do here. Yep, that's white on white crime, though. and the problem with that is, I don't even blame Putin for what he's doing, because they're not telling you the reason that Russia is trying to invade them is because Ukraine built a dam and is blocking the water from flowing into Russia, and it's cut down on their agricultural businesses that they have there. Well, Russia ain't like us. The government is growing that stuff. So here you have a little small country, that wanted its independence, because Russia was bullying it, and then it gets its freedom, and 40 or 50 years after, the Iron Curtain is torn down, and you get a chance for your freedom, instead of minding your business and doing what you need to do for your country, you damming up water so that you can put pressure on Russia. For what? Why are you pressuring Russia? You ain't got no military might, but you know that you're not in the UN. But the UN will put up sanctions. Them sanctions ain't doing nothing to Russia that they trying to put in. And who came in and mapped off what's Russia and what's the Ukraine, what's Yugoslavia, what's Croatia, all of those Slavic countries over there used to all be Russia. But see, they did the same thing to Russia that they did to Africa. When they come in and kick your ass, then they take over and they remap, everything. They did the same thing in Iraq with Kuwait. Kuwait used to be a part of Iraq. And that's why Saddam Hussein set that stuff on fire. This politics, man, and greed, because it was about the oil there. And I don't know what's going on in the Ukraine, what's so valuable over there that they want to have that stuff, under control. But we ain't talking about them today. We talking about black folks and how we've been treated. We ain't talking about Ukrainians. I don't even know no Ukrainians. I don't know no damn Russians. Yep. The Ukraine said they aren't Russians and the Russians want it back. That's what Busy Mama say. What about Trump's new app? I ain't heard nothing about it. Yep. But one Busy Mama said we're allegedly 1,100 black folks living in Oscarville and Lake Lanier, most of whom were freed after fighting in the American Civil War. Yeah, and World War One. They thought they was gonna come back and be respected and have their homes and their family and everything, and be considered a equal human. Since we fought for this country and died for this country, we should have equal rights in this country. But they don't see it that way. So most of the empires did that territorial land mapping. Yeah, that's for sure. What's up, Yvette? Good morning. Just making that connection on how they justify it. They can't, I don't, they're trying to justify it. That ain't justified. Not like that. But getting back to these cities. Later, I'm gonna dig and I'm gonna find out this information about these 30 cities, because I had some information before that I had found on it, but it wasn't a whole lot of information, but it did name the 30 cities and the states that they were in, and that information is in the new slave museum that they have, the museum on slavery and stuff. So from what I understand, they got a lot of information in there, but you don't see none of it posted on the web readily available, and you could just go to it. I don't know, but I'm gonna dig around and till I can find some way to correlate all of it together. But since I got everybody on here, I want to let everybody know tomorrow for Wisdom Wednesday, I'm going to show you how to go from plant that goes on your plate from your plate to your garden, and from your garden back to your plate. And you're going to need a couple of small jars, some saucers, and the bottom of some, well, I'll explain all of this tomorrow, but just have the saucer, a pot with some dirt in it, and a small pot, not a big pot, because we're going to be propagating seeds. So I'm going to show you how to float seeds so you can know which ones, and I'm going to float them during the show. So within that 20 minutes time span that it take for them to fall, so you know which is good and which isn't. I'll do it during the show. So morning, Lisa. Yep. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. And so y'all just be ready. You don't need you don't have to go to Home Depot or none of that stuff. Just get an old saucer, a couple of old dishes, and I'm gonna show you how to set this stuff up. And I'm gonna do a tomato, celery, a sweet potato, onion, both large regular onions and the green onions. So I'm gonna show you where to cut it, how to lay it in the water, how much water, and the signs of when you start to see signs of life and different little stuff in it, to give you hints. So that's what we'll be doing tomorrow. And so just be ready for that. If you're interested in planting, or you don't have to have none of that stuff. Just have a paper and a pencil, or a pen, so you can write stuff down that you want to know if you want to grow your own veggies. And I'm gonna show you how you can do this. Even if you're in an urban area, if you have a balcony, or if you have an area outside of your patio doors or something, any place you can have a pot, you can even grow this stuff in your house. So we're gonna do all that tomorrow. But I'm gonna get out of here because it's been an hour and I got some stuff to drop off at the post office and make some runs today. And I'm glad everybody came on. I hope you enjoyed the information. And I'll see you tomorrow again on In My Element with Neil and Turk. And before I go, if I don't do this, I give us that. Okie doke, y'all. Peace. Oh, wait a minute. Let me check these. Somebody shot some more comments. Oh, okay. See you tomorrow, Kimberly Mixon Dixon. Hey, Frugal Mama. Peace and blessings. And Lisa say she'll tune in tomorrow. Okie doke. Appreciate you. I might have to shoot you a link. I don't know if I go into sprouting, then I'll send you a link. I don't know. I'll talk to you about it later on today, Lisa. All right, Archbishop. JB, have a good one. Everybody, y'all stay safe. Bless up. Reach back and give back. If you have something, some old clothes, blankets, anything you could do to help somebody who's without, if it's on your heart, give. If you don't want to give, that's on you. They ain't trying to get everybody to give all your stuff away, just stuff that you don't want. Just help somebody, just raise the vibration, raise your humanitarianism, Hey, Jan, have a good one. And that's it. And y'all have a good one. I'm gone. Peace.